Guy's talking on both ends here.
They're very patient at this point,
We'll
and
put this off.
so far so good today. Not
Let you
a
listen.
crazy count as Rob Beatty has mentioned earlier.
And so the plan is for Butch and Sunny to be docked.
Roger.
A call out saying that the pad team has cleared the pad. Now the plan is for Butch and Sunny to be docked to the ISS for at least 8 days, and then after they will return to Earth with a soft touchdown in the American Southwest. That's video and sound from inside Starliner during its return to Earth 2 years ago as part of the Orbital Flight Test 2 mission. Its heat shield will reach 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit during re-entry. Parachutes then deploy, and the heat shield is discarded to expose Starliner's airbags. The original test pilot, you see on the bottom center of your screen, Rosie Lorana,
minutes
collecting data
for
on
a
what
start
astronauts
or
may
spaceship.
experience during landing. Starliner is the first and only American orbital crew capsule to land on
Here we
land.
got 38
Allows for crew
for
quicker access to
Starliner.
alien cargo. It also makes turning the spacecraft around for future missions quicker. But Mike, Starliner can also land in water in the case of an emergency.
Absolutely. Starliner has a lot of heritage and commonality with the Orion spacecraft, which lands on water. Starliner is a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter, so it can actually land on land. It has those airbags, as we saw. I can't wait to try them out. This is the first time I'm going to ask Butch and Sunny about how are the airbags, because Soyuz is a little bit hard landing, but
I'm snippy at this
but
point.
it's really those airbags I think are going to make a difference. But landing on water, we have this different airbag configuration. And so we have a fifth airbag that opens up in the middle, and so it's definitely planned that we could land on water, but we save that only for emergencies because refurbishing the capsule afterwards is going to be kind of tough with all the saltwater contamination. So we'd really like to land on land. We have 5 spots in the southwest of the United States that we can land on.
And I remember Sunny saying that she would much rather land on land because she said she had a lot of anxiety with landing in the water, even after you're back on Earth, because it's such a long rescue process, and you're bobbing in the ocean. You know, she said when you land on land, it's done, you're safe.
See, that's the Air Force perspective. That's how we always think of things too. The Navy guys, they should like the water, but no, this is jokes aside. That's exactly it. It's a lot. It's a lot easier to find us, and a lot more options if and when we land on land.
All right, so we're coming up on 35 minutes until liftoff.
And here comes a comm check.
Yeah, I want to set the stage now for a series of comm checks.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Bob 60, step 10, step 20. Last danger area is clear.
Roger.
So yeah, we expect to hear repeated communication checks with Capcom in Houston and the crew. This is an opportunity for them to also discuss any anomalies or resolutions to those anomalies, but we've been saying no issues, working no issues, the team today, so that's great news. And then these comm checks that we'll hear now, we're going to periodically hear them throughout these final 34 minutes. And again, communication is so important, and we want to make sure that those channels are working properly from the crew to everybody else on the ground that's helping to monitor launch. And where we are now, again, the pad team has cleared the pad.
So it's just Butch, Sunny, Starliner, and Atlas and Centron all together.
Yep. The first 2 astronauts to fly in Starliner.
Go ahead. Yes, sir. Also, step 60. Step 60. Flight hazard area has been cleared of all personnel coming.
Roger.
Butch and Sunny, the first 2 astronauts to fly in Starliner. Sunny will be the first woman to test an orbital spacecraft. And the last time people flew to space in an Atlas-class rocket was nearly 61 years ago. CFT is going to be that final test to certify a second commercial spacecraft to ferry astronauts to and from the space station. And this is a cool fact too, actually. Once in orbit, for the first time in NASA history, the agency will have 3 different cruise spacecraft orbiting in space simultaneously. So that's, of course, the International Space Station, the SpaceX Crew Dragon, and then Boeing Starliner spacecraft. What an incredible milestone.
That is an incredible milestone, and NASA's going to break that again, hopefully soon, when we have another spacecraft. We're working here at the Kennedy Space Center to get Artemis and the Orion spacecraft these are exciting times, and we're building the future where there's even more spacecraft in the future with humans on board going to space. And that's more opportunity for future astronauts.
Yeah, Dee, what do you think about that? Again, Boeing, Boeing Starliner joining as one of the 3 crewed spacecraft that's in orbit.
Yeah, exactly. I echo exactly what Mike said, that this is all about expanding human space flight. So having another vehicle, once this is certified, is going to do exactly that. It's going to get more people into space. Of course, this time to the International Space Station. It's going to increase science. But of course, there's also private missions. So, at the end of the day, it's always great when you can get more people, into space.
And we've been asking you to submit your Ask NASA questions from social media, so let's answer some more of those now. We have this one from, love this name, Shaquille Oatmeal on Twitch asking, what's the life of an astronaut like between launches, Mike?
Yes, we spend all of our life, training, wanting to become an astronaut, and then once you're an astronaut, what's it like? And so we do a lot more training. But I'll say that the last time I flew in space, we just had our landing anniversary on June 1st of an STS-134, and that was 2011. That would have been a great day to launch, but we chose not to. But that was 13 years ago. So in the last 13 years, what have I been up to? And that's been helping get Dragon and Starliner up into space, helping my friends aboard the International Space Station as Capcom. I helped Sunny when she was doing spacewalks, and we help each other. It's all part of the big team. And so today it's great to see Butch and Sunny. They've both been waiting a long time to go fly again. Trying to get a 3rd mission or a 4th mission is really, you have to wait and be patient. And Butch and Sunny are going to have they've been working hard on Starliner too. And that's what we do between missions. We help get ready for the next missions and help our friends be ready and support them while they're in space.
Yeah, and the Commercial Crew Program is so important because in working with our commercial partners, it really allows NASA to pursue other things, like, again, returning to the moon. Our eyes are set on Mars with the Artemis program.
Indeed, and I'll just say I've enjoyed working both with SpaceX and really with Boeing. I mean, when we saw our teammates on the montage earlier, it just it made me tear up a little bit. I'm not afraid to say that because there's a lot of respect with the team.
And let's take another question now. This one is from World Citizen on YouTube asking, does the crew on the space station watch the launch?
So right now it's the middle.
Now minus 30 minutes.
30 minutes
RC,
ago.
conduct weather briefing on Channel 8 weather conference net. Roger. Arm control, start arm hydraulic final prep. Roger. Lock 1, perform pogo suppressor charge.
Roger.
Prop 1, perform RD-180 transducer converter calibration.
Roger.
T&E 2, perform Centaur LH2 SPV cycle test. Roger.
That's all the communications between the launch team, basically all the steps that's needed to get us to T0.
Yes, less than 30 minutes left. So aboard the International Space Station, if the crew gets a minute, I do believe that they're beaming up this launch broadcast. So hi to my friends aboard the International Space Station that they're going to watch the launch. They're very invested in this. They've been waiting for weeks, months for the Starliner to arrive, and we're good friends with the crew on board, so it's going to be very cordial. But yes, I remember watching the shuttles launch, and then when my friends landed on either the shuttle or on the Soyuz, we would try to watch the landing coverage too. So certainly we were always watching NASA TV.
And we did get a chance to talk to NASA astronauts Tracy Dyson and Jeanette Epps prior to launch.
Prop 1 LC. Are we complete?
Yes, our 180 transducer converter calibration is complete and the engine FIV is open.
Roger. Flight control, start flight control final prep. Roger.
LCPD-2,
Go ahead.
Centaur LH2 SPV cycle tests are complete.
Roger.
And Tracy Dyson, Jeanette Epps, 2 of the astronauts that are on the International Space Station already. We did get a chance to talk to them prior to launch, and they said they are ready for Butch and Sunny to arrive. They've gotten their areas all set up for them, so they're really excited to welcome them just about 26 hours after liftoff today. Again, 27 minutes, 53 seconds and counting until liftoff of Butch and Sunny, the first 2 to fly Boeing's Starliner capsule to the International Space Station. Let's go over now to Brandy and Jim inside Mission Control in Houston.
Thanks, Megan. Lead Crew Flight Test Flight Director Mike Lammers is getting ready to poll the flight control team here in Houston for go or no-go, verifying that all of Starliner systems are ready for launch. Everything is looking good at the moment, and Lammers will use this poll to determine his own response to the final go, no-go poll by the launch conductor just before liftoff.
Once we do get into the terminal countdown time frame, there are a few major activities the team will oversee. The first is Starliner's transition from ground power to battery power. That comes about 18 minutes before launch, and we leave it as late as possible so we can launch with those batteries. Go ahead.
Arm hydraulic final prep start.
Roger.
L minus 27.
We leave that power transition as late as possible so we can launch the batteries as close to full charge as possible. A few minutes later, with less than 10 minutes to go before liftoff, Starliner's ordnance will be armed. That activates the critical systems that are needed to detach all the things that Starliner would ultimately deploy or jettison as it climbs to orbit, or back for a landing if that became necessary. And then finally, just 1 minute and 15 seconds before launch, we'll work with the crew to activate the launch abort system, which would rocket in case of an abort or on the pad early in the ascent.
This will likely be the last you hear from us until liftoff. So we are going to send you back to the team in Florida to let Megan, D, and Mike see us through the rest of the countdown. Go Starliner.
Go Starliner.
Now let's take a closer look at Starliner, the next generation crew capsule that you see atop the Atlas V rocket there on launch pad 41 on Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Mike, Starliner is something, like you said, and Butch and Sunny, you guys really have your fingerprints all over that to make it the ride to space that you guys wanted.
Indeed, Starliner is definitely Ferguson even called it a astronaut or a pilot spacecraft.
And so that next generation crew capsule, it measures 16 and a half feet tall with a diameter of 15 feet. That's about the size of a mid-size SUV. It was designed to carry up to 7 astronauts or a mix of crew and cargo for missions to the International Space Station. After today's test flight, NASA will fly crews of 4 or 5 with cargo. Starliner is also reusable up to 10 times. I'm sure you're excited for your opportunity to fly in Starliner, Mike.
Oh, indeed. We're hopefully Butch and Sunny, along with Calypso, are going to pave the way. We'll be in the other spacecraft that Boeing has. We have 2 capsules, and so again, it's always good to have an extra one and a backup one, and we're looking forward to flying next year.
Let's head back over to Johnson now, where we have Rob Navius with an update for us. Rob.
Rob. Oh, Rob. Rob. Oh, Rob. Yeah, it's called Use Your Mic.
As we mentioned earlier, in the midst of Starliner arrival preparations on the station, NASA astronauts Matt Dominic, Tracy Dyson, Jeanette Epps, and Mike Barrett are preparing spacesuits to be used for a trio of spacewalks scheduled to begin on June 13th. Other maintenance work is also planned for today by the expedition crew as they gear up for the docking of Starliner tomorrow to the forward port of the Harmony module. Once Starliner docks, it will be the 6th visiting vehicle at the International Space Station, a crowded house 260 miles above the Earth. We're standing by here in Mission Control for the Atlas V to take flight and for a new chapter in human spaceflight history to begin just 23 minutes from now. With that, we'll head back now to the Kennedy Space Center.
23 minutes, 9 seconds and counting until liftoff. So let's check back in with ULA's Dylan Rice and Boeing's Lauren Brenningson. Guys.
Hey Megan, thanks for coming back to us here in the
S1S,
Stockton
switch all
Atomic
secondary
Training.
decom, RF link, and verify lock.
Roger.
Initiate orbital perimeter calculations on primary CCLS.
Roger.
monitoring those procedures here, and we're coming up on about L minus 22 minutes to launch. And around this time, during the last launch attempt, our team worked through what you may have seen a suit pressurization issue. They worked very quickly around this time in the countdown to make sure that everything was going smoothly with this. But when we switched to internal power at L minus 18 minutes, that triggered a small voltage trip, and flight software correctly identified it and turned off the fans. So we quickly turned them back on, just like you would do with your computer, off and on. And today we're going to turn the fan off when we move over to internal power so it doesn't trip again. Then we will turn it back on after. The real difference is that crew will lower their visors about 5 minutes later this time. That action would usually be taken around now, or a minute or so from now, and we will listen for that in just a few minutes. The Capcom will tell the crew to put their visors down at that time, and that is a configuration that is needed for proper airflow through their suit. In an emergency, they could pressurize their suits.
Go ahead.
Pogo's pressure charge is complete.
Roger.
LCSYS,
Go ahead.
all secondary.
Whoops.
Secondary.
Yeah, you're breaking up that way.
All that's the slide on our link.
I did copy that. Please take your headset.
All right, as I was saying, that in an emergency, they would be able to pressurize their suits quickly if needed. And it's a little different for them this time because, as we mentioned during this broadcast, their helmet is really more of a visor. It lays back like a hoodie on their shirt, and they pull it forward and then just zip it up. And this config also calls for them to deflate their lumbar support and secure their restraints from launch. So once we get to that point, it's really buckle up, it's almost go time, and then the crews will report back when finished. And then while we're talking around L minus 19, we're also going to be looking for the Starliner readiness poll for terminal count. That will happen on a side channel, so I'll be listening for that, and I'll let you know when we hear it. We do have a few polls coming up. That one is short. It will take place in the Boeing Mission Control Center, or BMCC, here in Florida. That is where the spacecraft launch conductor, Brian Gardner, will pull people in that room in charge of the propulsion system. Yeah, you see the room there on your screen.
L minus 20 minutes. PNE-1, reinitiate A-B charges.
Roger.
RLM, verify redline monitor, and event table or the configuration for terminal now. RC, verify solar radiation, acceptable for launch. Verify.
Right, you might have heard, kind of came in faint. They asked them to go ahead and deflate their lumbar support. Wasn't sure if we can hear a little bit more about that. But again, there will be 3 calls coming up on this Starliner readiness poll for terminal count. They will pull the mission support room manager, or MSR. After launch, the BMCC turns into mission support as things shift over to Houston. They will also pull the spacecraft test conductor, who monitors our power systems.
Switch to channel 1. All personnel and visitors remain in present position until launch. Maintain operational silence in the LCC. This is the LC with the terminal count briefing. If a condition exceeds the launch constraint anytime after the terminal count status check, the observer shall announce hold on channel 1, identify their station, and briefly state the reason for the hold.
So, Lauren, as we were mentioning earlier, there's been traffic on multiple side nets, and that announcement that you just heard is Chief Launch Director Doug Lebo now bringing the team out from the individual subsystem nets, bringing everybody to the command channel, channel 1, for the final minutes of the countdown here. So we're gonna start to hear more traffic on the command channel as we start to do our final configuration steps for launch. So we're gonna hear a couple of things. We're gonna hear
L minus 18 minutes. Flight control, perform launch on time verification.
we're gonna hear some final avionics checks like that last call. We're gonna hear fire switch verification. The range hold fire system allows representatives from Space Launch Delta 45 a a hold button in the up the road at the Morrell Operations Center. So if there's an issue or a range safety issue that comes up, they can press a button and automatically stop our sequencer. So that's called a hold fire check. Those hold fire switches will be configured shortly, and we'll also start to hear calls about wrapping up our helium bottle charging on both the first and second stage.
Dylan, as you mentioned, with the traffic on the loops increasing a little bit, you at home may notice that we are speaking less, and so we are going to be listening to some of these things as they happen live with
Roger.
you. And we feel it's important for you to be able to...
Go ahead.
Stage B charging reestablished and on flight mask.
Roger.
L-17 minutes.
OSM, place SRB ignition SMA switch in the enabled position.
SRB ignition enabled.
Verify STO, RCO, and OSM hold fire switches in the proceed position.
Ready to proceed.
All right, we're going to send it over to NASA's Daryl now at Hangar 80. Daryl.
Thank you very much, and getting a final look at the weather. I'll tell you this, it's a beautiful day to fly. Outside, our launch weather officer told us that there's no change in the forecast. We are 90% go, and what a beautiful shot of our beaches here, from the courtesy of our chopper team here at the Kennedy Space Center. Folks coming out to enjoy the launch and an amazing day. Weather, no changes again. Low-topped cumulus clouds on land, which you see some of it there, but because they're low-topped, that's not a concern. When a rocket flies through a big, thick cumulus cloud, it can trigger a lightning strike, but those clouds are not the kind that can do that, according to Launch Weather Officer Melody Lovett. And so we're good to go there. We also have launch visibility is always a factor here in the southeast. Can you see the rocket and from where? And our friends at United Launch Alliance provided us with this graphic so you can see about which point in the launch you would see the rocket. If you're within the first two inner circles, you should be able to see the solid rocket boosters jettison a minute after launch. Folks in the Orlando and Central Florida area will be able to see it about 90 seconds of flight, and then it will come into view for much of the rest of the state after more than about 2 minutes, including Tampa on the west coast of Florida. The southeast corner of Georgia might be able to see the Atlas Centaur separation, which happens after 3 minutes of flight. Again, we're looking good here at the ASOC. Richard Jones polled his team, the NASA operations manager, and all of them are no go.
Flight, channel 1 to air to ground 1, and now bird will go to air to ground 1. Roger.
We'll send it back to those then.
LC flight, air to ground 1, ready for contact with Starliner at channel 1. Roger. Starliner, LC, check on channel 1.
Those are comm checks.
LC, Starliner, loud and clear.
I have you loud and clear also.
And our astronauts, who you see there. Again, this is a test flight.
Houston, check, air to ground 1.
Houston, Starliner, loud and clear.
Houston has you loud and clear on air to ground 1.
Test flight, and Boeing is working towards certification. To do that, there are a total of 87 flight test objectives and many more operational capability checkouts. So take a look at some of the main objectives with the crew on board. I'll go through a couple of them here. So they will demonstrate the performance of crew-related equipment. The crew will perform hatch operations, transfer emergency equipment. They will also evaluate the vehicle and transfer cargo while in a docked configuration. They'll perform functionality of manual piloting and deorbit with the successful separation of the crew module from the service module. And finally, they will demonstrate Starliner's entry and descent. 13 minutes and 24 seconds from only the 6th time NASA astronauts will launch on a new spacecraft designed for crew. And if you're curious about the previous 5 flights, we have you covered. Check out our video here. Mercury Redstone 3 was the first test flight. Alan Shepard, May 5th, 1961.
Gemini 3 with astronauts Gus Grissom and John Young launched March 23rd, 1965.
Apollo 7, October 11th, 1968, with Wally Schirra, Don Isley, and Walt Cunningham.
ISS-1 launched with astronauts John Young and Robert Crippen, and it launched April 12, 1981.
Starliner Houston, your Super Bravo is repowered. It looks good. Please close your visors. Call closed.
Saw video there of Demo 2, May 2020, Doug Hurley, Bob Behnken.
And then, of course, today's NASA's and Boeing's crew flight test with Butch Wilmore, and Sonny Williams.
You know, Mike, 12 minutes and 15 seconds to go. How are you feeling?
I am excited. I'm grateful to ULA and Boeing and NASA team that we are sharing this historic moment together. Go Starliner.
Yeah, our hearts and well wishes are with Butch and Sonny as they make history testing what is poised to be the second commercial crew vehicle that is certified to ferry people to and from the International Space Station. So with 11 minutes and 46 seconds to go, let's send it back over to ULA's Dylan Rice and Boeing's Lauren Breneke to walk us through the final moments of today's launch countdown. Let's do it, guys.
Let's do it, Megan. We just heard the Starliner readiness poll is a go. We know the crew's visors are down now, so we are moving along smoothly into the final 11 minutes and 30 seconds of this countdown. This is an instantaneous launch window today, which means that we will launch when the orbital path for the ISS aligns with the Space Coast. Once we get into orbit, Starliner will be working to catch up with the space station, eventually reaching speeds of more than 17,500 miles per hour. It'll take about 25 hours or so to get there. And we are going to be launching here any minute for the crew access
arm. Control, so the crew access arm for launch. Roger.
Right on cue. Crew access arm about to start moving away from the spacecraft. And Dylan, we will watch it move very slowly today, but it could move much faster if needed.
That's right, Lauren. It takes about 2 minutes to rotate the 120 degrees back away from Starliner to its stowed position and latch position on the crew exit tower. Here we go. But we could, in the event of an emergency, redeploy it in less than 50 seconds.
It's amazing that it can do that. We hope to not have to ever see that happen. After liftoff today, Brandy and Jim will continue commentary from Houston through ascent, spacecraft separation, and the orbital insertion burn. We will have the shot of Butch and Sonny inside Starliner until the moment of launch, and then we will get it again when we get to the ISS.
Flight verified QST 100 on internal power. Verified. Starliner, configure ordnance for launch.
Technical.
All right, the spacecraft is running completely on its own now. And they are configuring ordnance for launch. That means the devices that initiate our separation events are ready to support both nominal and contingency operations that happen or could happen during ascent.
So, Lauren, we're just about 2.5 minutes now away from our terminal count status check. The terminal count status check is the final report from each operator indicating their system, whether it be a ground control system or a launch vehicle system, is ready to execute the final 4 minutes of the countdown to launching the rocket. At this point, if there were an issue, the anomaly team would be discussing it, but nothing like that has happened right now. All is quiet. I am expecting to hear all members of the team report go when pulled by Chief Launch Conductor Doug Lebo.
And we're actually hearing on a side channel that they are preparing for the launch vehicle systems poll. This is the long one. A lot of people view this as their favorite poll. It's kind of fun to listen to them list off each system, and then that team will give a final go or no-go for launch. And we will be able to watch cameras on the rocket today, and live telemetry feeding back will provide a real-time look at the spacecraft model when video isn't possible during the ascent as it moves through the dynamic phases.
Don't mind basement.
Under 8 minutes before Butch and Sonny head back to a place they consider home. Both of them have spent 2 different stints of about 6 months on the International Space Station. and they are thrilled to be going back for a third time. Sunny told me she even cried the last time she left the space station because she didn't know if she would ever go back. So this flight is a dream for her.
LC arm control. Go ahead. Crew access arms stowed for launch. Roger. LC switch to ready position. All steps are complete prior to status check.
Let's listen in to Chief Launch Director Doug Lebo conduct that final terminal count status check as we prepare for launch.
L minus 7 minutes. Status check to proceed with terminal count. Atlas systems, propulsion,
Go.
hydraulic,
Go.
pneumatic,
Go.
LO2,
Go.
water,
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion, go, pneumatic, go, LO2, go, LH2,
Go.
has gas, go, electrical systems, airborne, go, ground, go, facility, go, RFFTS, go, flight control, go, GCQ,
Go.
op support, go, comm, go, umbilical, go, arms control, go, ECS,
Go.
redline monitor, go, quality, go, op safety manager, go, ULA safety officer, go, vehicle system engineer, go, anomaly chief, go, range coordinator, clear to proceed, flight director, Houston flight, go, Starliner,
Starliner, go.
launch director, you have permission for launch. Proceeding with the count. ALC, verified T0 set for 14:52:15 Zulu. Verified. Starliner, net is clear.
Thank you, LC. For everybody listening, just a thought. Sonny and I, as we were traveling to the pad, we saw many American flags, and many of you were waving flags at us. And then as we reached the pad, we looked up, and of course there's that American flag on the side of the white room. Also one on the side of the rocket itself. And we know that that represents unity and resilience and unified efforts for the common good. And that's what Sonny and I have witnessed this last month. Each of you displaying what this nation's forefathers envisioned, a people committed to God, family, and country, a people who use their gifts and talents for the common good, and are passionate and tough. And we all know that when the going gets